welcome or welcome back to another Bible study work break. So today I read James 5, and something about James as I was reading was that I always wondered how it was growing up with Yahusha as a bigger brother, like as an older brother, growing up in the same house, like how much pressure it would have been on for his siblings if they actually knew who he was and who he was going to be. I wonder if that was the case. I wonder throughout his ministry if they were there, which they were, because there was a part in one of the gospels where they tell Yahusha that his mother and his brothers were there and they wanted to see him, and I'm like, I wonder how much of his ministry did they travel with him. Yeah, I wonder how much of that, you know. So let's get into it. Chapter 5. Come now, rich ones, weep, crying aloud over the hardships coming upon you. Now, this is something that I think that rich people are um, oblivious to, is hardships, right? Because they can use their money to basically get out of any situation. Any situation they're in, they can buy their way out, right? Throw money at it, make the issue go away, right? Unlike the rest of us common folk, right? We know what hardships are. We've experienced hardships. But I feel like rich people, yeah, they don't understand hardships. Your riches have rotted and your garments have become moth eaten. And this is from Matthew 6:19 and 20, when he says, your gold and silver have become rusted, and their rust shall be a witness against you and shall eat your flesh like fire. You have laid up treasure in the last days. When Yahusha told them, do not lay up any treasures on earth, but lay up treasures in heaven. But see, the rich, they don't understand that. They're like, I have it right now. I have it in my possession. I can get it right now. Why would I lay up treasures in heaven? For what? That's like a long way from now, the delusion. But they have the treasures right now, and they want it right now. Okay? If I can get it, I'm going to have it. Plain and simple. See, the wages of the workmen who mowed your fields, which you kept back, cry out. And the cries of the reapers have reached the ears of Yahuwah of hosts, which I reminded me of Proverbs 3:28, where it says that if your neighbor comes to you for something, don't tell them that you can't give it to them right then to come back tomorrow. No, give them what they're owed right then and there when they do the work, right? Or if your neighbor comes to you and they're asking you to borrow something, well, I never understood why people would talk about going to a neighbor and asking to borrow sugar. Like, after you use it, how are you going to give it back? That's not borrowing. Can I borrow some eggs? You're going to crack them, cook them, and then somehow reverse osmosis them back to being an egg? Does not make sense at all. You have lived on earth in pleasure and luxury. You have fattened your hearts as in a day of slaughter. You have condemned, you have murdered the righteous. He does not resist you. And I made a note, they lived comfortable in a life of luxury and access to everything, trotted on others to get what they want. They stepped on people to get where they wanted to be, whether that involved shedding some blood, okay, or other things. They stepped on people to get what they wanted. So, brothers, be patient until the coming of the Adon. See, the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, waiting patiently for it until it receives the early and latter rain. Patience, right? Just like when you're cooking, when they tell you staring at a boil, oh, staring at a pot of water is not going to make it boil faster. No, standing there and just watching the pot is not going to make the water boil faster. It's not. You have to give it time. You have to wait. You have to be patient. Be patient. You too, be patient. He mentions patient quite a few times. Be patient. Establish your hearts, prepare or set, for the coming of the Adon has drawn near. Do not grumble against each other, brothers, lest you be judged. See, the judge is standing at the door, which reminds me of Matthew 18 through 19, when he says, whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatever you loosen on earth is loosened in heaven. He was talking about forgiveness. So, we're in the last days. What anybody does to you, let it go. Let it go. Do not hold it against them. Do not hold a grudge. Do not, fight evil for evil. Let it go. If somebody offends you, let it go. Recently, I was offended and I just had to, first, I had to sit with it and then I had to let it go, right? Just let it go. My brothers, as an example of suffering and patience, take the prophets who spoke in the name of Yahuwah. Now, y'all know how them prophets got. Y'all know, if you've read your Bible, y'all know them prophets, they suffered. Suffered doesn't even begin to describe what they went through. I mean, I remember Ezekiel, he had to lay on his, was it Ezekiel or Jeremiah? One of the two had to lay on their side for like 300 some odd days. And then on the other side for, I don't know how many days, but it was for the punishment of Yasharal, and had to cook his food over, initially, Yahuwah said, cook it over animal dung. And I think it was Ezekiel. I'll put it on the screen. He said he had to cook his food over animal dung, and he was like, "No, that I've never defiled myself." And it was like, "Fine, you can cook it over human dung." And I was like, "That's not any better. That's not any better at all. That's terrible." But he was like, "You're gonna cook it over some dung. That's what you're gonna do." And the thing is to suffer punishment like this for all these people, and it's like I would be upset. I would be mad at everybody. I wouldn't even be mad at Yahuwah because it's not him, it's the people. Because of y'all, I have to do this. I have to lay here. And I'm pretty sure when he got up, his body hurt and ached. It's part of the punishment. Terrible. See, we call those blessed who endure, which reminds me of Matthew 24:13. Those who endure until the end will be saved. He quoted Yahusha so much in this chapter that I was just like, he was definitely there during his ministry. Mm-hmm. You have heard of the endurance of Ayob or Job and saw the purpose of Yahuwah, and he is very sympathetic and compassionate. So you know why Yahuwah did what he did. If you read Job, you know why he did what he did, right? And Job endured. Okay? He endured. But above all, my brothers, do not swear either by the heaven or by the earth or with any other oath, but let your yes be yes and your no, no, lest you fall into judgment. Matthew 5:37. Again, he's quoting Aosha. And I made another that says, say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't make any oaths or covenants that you know you can't make good on, especially in these end days. You don't know how much time you have left. Do not make an oath. Even if you had all the time in the world, do not make an oath. We don't keep our promises. That is the part about it. We don't keep our promises. We don't keep our word. We'll say something and renege on it all the time. It never fails. Is any of you suffering evil? Let him pray. Is anyone in good spirits? Let him sing songs. Psalms. Is anyone among you sick? Let him call for the elders of the assembly and let them pray over him, having anointed him with oil in the name of the Adon. And the prayer of the belief shall save the sick. That's just like the paralyzed man who his friends brought him to Yosha, and he said because of their belief, he is healed. Not his belief, because of their belief. They knew. That's why they brought him. They were like, oh, he do all these miracles. Let's go take him, right? So he can be healed. They believed that because of their belief. Again, Yahusha. James had to have been there. At this point, I'm convinced. James was there, okay, through the whole thing. Confess your trespasses to one another and pray for one another so that you are healed. The earnest prayer of a righteous one accomplishes much. Eliyahu, or Elijah, was a man with feelings like us, and he prayed earnestly that it would not rain. And it did not rain on the land for 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave rain, and the land brought forth its fruit. When we're praying, we tend to pray selfishly. And that is something that we're taught in church, the prosperity prayer. Pray for things that you want. That is not what you should be praying for. Okay? That, yes, pray for things that you want, but the majority of your prayer and the majority of the time that you pray should not be about you. It should be about your brothers and sisters. It should be about repentance. It should be about forgiveness. It should be about other people. Okay? Other people. Brothers, if anyone among you goes astray from the truth and someone turns him back, let him know that he who turns a sinner from the straying of his way shall save a life from death and cover a great number of sins, which comes from Proverbs 10 and 12. Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all transgressions. And we are to love one another, which includes helping people to turn away from their sins. If you actually love somebody, you're going to care that they sin. You're going to care and you're going to want to turn them away from that sin. If you don't love other people, you're not going to care what they do because you're doing the same thing. James is one of those books that is just like, it really hits home because it talks about a lot of, yes, things during that time, but also speaking of during this time, what we're currently experiencing and going through. If you have not read James, I highly recommend reading the whole book. But yeah, I'm convinced that James was there throughout his brother's whole ministry because of how often he quoted him, not just in this chapter, but through the entire book of James. I have to get to work.